Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, words of my brethren in Philadelphia, and words of my brethren in Brooklyn, New York, all right? Because we're going to talk about heavyweights from those two places. Now, as you guys can see, I got a microphone in my hand, all right? It's not the first time I made a video with this microphone, but this is probably the first time you see me with the microphone in my hand. So, yeah, shout out to the microphone. But I wanted to talk about Bryant Jennings and Jarrell Miller because they both had fights this past weekend, and wasn't live for any of them. I didn't do any post fight videos for any of them, so I figured I would just do a video about both of them separately. So that's what we're gonna do, just about their fights, their performances, and their careers moving forward. So we'll start off with Bryant Jennings, Philadelphia's very own Bryant Bye Jennings. This was his fourth fight coming off of the layoff since he signed with Top Rank, and thus far, as I'm concerned, it's probably the fight where you would definitely say he's fought his most notable opponent to date. Enjoy Dueco, tough heavyweight journeyman. Been in there with the likes of Derek Rossi, Charles Martin, who else? Jarrell Miller. So he's definitely a credible opponent. And the fight made sense considering that the ESPN card was in Philadelphia. Brian Jennings did a good job. He's the more athletic fighter, the more skilled fighter. He controlled the action. He controlled the rounds. He picked the shots real nicely. Didn't get the stoppage because Dueco was just so durable, and Dueco did all right towards the latter part of the fight. But all in all, he got the win. You can't really criticize much from Bryant Jennings. And now that was his fourth fight under Top Rank, fourth fight in 8-9 months since the layoff. You would be led to believe that he's gonna have a real step up in class in terms of as far as at the world level, and just going through the rankings. Let's go through the rankings here. We got the WBC rankings in front of us. If we go through the WBC rankings, Brian Jennings is currently ranked number 19th in those WBC rankings, right? So you got Jennings ranked number 19, and you got names like Huey Fury, Andy Ruiz, Marius Wack, Bermain Severn, guys like that are above him. Ideally, of those names that are just above him in the rankings for the WBC, I would like to see him probably fight Andy Ruiz Jr. I think that's a good fight. I think it's a fight that for both of them, a win gets them both probably within a fight of getting a title shot. So it's a good fight. It's definitely a good fight. Ruiz and Jennings are both world title challengers. Ruiz is a more recent world title challenger. He fought Joseph Parker for that vacant IBF strap back in late 2016. A lot of people thought he won the fight. He did a good job of winning a lot of those exchanges against Joseph Parker, showing above average counter punching ability. And, he should definitely still be in the mix, man. That performance warranted him definitely getting more opportunities. And I think if he was to get an opportunity, it should be against a guy like Bryant Jennings, who since the layoff hasn't really been tested at that world level. And it'd be a winnable fight for him. And, as for Jennings, it'd be a winnable fight for him because he's the more athletic of the two. You'd be led to believe that with Andy Ruiz being, as fat as he is, Bryant Jennings should be able to outlast him. So I think it's a good fight for both of them, So I would look into that, and then if you go over to those WBA rankings, right? So if we go over the WBA, Jennings ranked 13th, right? Then you got Dillian White ranked number 7. So Dillian White's a guy that he's coming off of a good win against Lucas Brown, who, I don't really rate Lucas Brown that highly, never have, has very limited skills, heavy PED user, but, all in all, just very limited skills. And he was coming off a layoff. So Dillian White destroyed him, pretty much. It was a career life-changing knockout for Lucas Brown. And, his name is being linked to a lot of the top heavyweights, guys like Anthony Joshua, maybe a rematch for him, maybe a Deontay Wilder fight. So, his name is in the running for some big things. And Eddie Hearn's been trying to push him to get some big fights. But this is a fight, if I was Bob Arum, if I was Top Rank, if I was their matchmaker, I would definitely look into because, seeing both of them fight, I would definitely say Bryant Jennings is the more skilled of the two fighters. And I'd probably pick it to beat Dillian White, truth be told, because I've told you guys I think Dillian White's a solid fighter, but I think he's been looking a lot better recently. Not because I don't really think he's improved that much as a fighter or that much has changed. I think it's just been perfect matchmaking by Matchroom Boxing that's gotten him there. So I think if they want to put me wrong on that, a fight with Bryant Jennings would be just what the doctor ordered, quite frankly. So that's a fight they should look into because Bryant Jennings might want to go the WBA route. But all in all, good performance. Bryant Jennings, one of the top names in American heavyweight boxing, on the comeback trail. A couple years ago, he was hands down one of the top guys in the division. You had him beating the likes of Mike Perez, beating the likes of Artur Spilka when Spilka was undefeated. He beat him before he beat him before Wilder did, and that was a fantastic performance for Bryant Jennings. And
Can you edit that? Can you edit that?
no, I'm not editing that. For Bryant Jennings, so
Can you just edit it?
I'm not editing. No, I'm not editing
Just cut it out.
Nah.
I was testing your composure, bro.
Like, okay, so yeah, anyway, Bryant Jennings, I'm losing my train of thought here. Bryant Jennings, yeah, he was one of the top guys a couple years ago, and now he's on the comeback trail. So I want to see him in there with the top guys. Even a Jarrell Miller fight wouldn't be bad because Jarrell has not fought a guy of Bryant Jennings' caliber yet. I'll be quite honest with you. He's taken some steps up since the Fred Cassie fight, but Bryant Jennings is probably like the ideal step. Will be like the best fighter he ever fought. So, good win for him. Looking forward to seeing how his career develops. Shout out to Bryant Jennings. Now, in terms of Jarrell Miller, he had a fight against Johan Duhaupas, a former opponent of Deontay Wilder, former world title challenger. Good, durable guy. Slight step up in class for Marius Wack. Same level, but I say slight step up because I think he's a little bit more fresh. Marius Wack has a little bit more left in the tank than Marius Wack. Wack, you could definitely tell when he fought Miller. He showed up for a payday. And he really wasn't that healthy. I think he broke his hand or something like that in that fight. So, he got a better opponent in this fight and controlled the fight really well. Showed really good work rate despite the weight. Fantastic counter punching skills. Overall, it was a good performance. The only thing you will nitpick at with Jarrell and say is like, okay, he didn't knock out Duhaupas, but Duhaupas only been stopped by 2 fighters, and those 2 fighters are 2 of the most elite punchers in the division, and that comes in the form of Deontay Wilder and Alexander Povetkin. So we know Miller doesn't have the elite one punch knockout power. That's not like we didn't learn anything new in terms of that. If anything, this fight just reemphasized what we already knew about Miller, which is that he's an accumulation puncher. He has the highest punch output in the heavyweight division. And I believe he threw 762 punches. I saw on Instagram. He threw 762 punches at 304 pounds against Duhaupas. So, credit to him, man. He made you never hear Jarrell Miller. I understand why people go on about him not having punching power because he's so damn big. But he never said he's not saying himself oh, I'm the best knockout artist in the division. No. You always hear Jarrell Miller say in interviews that I had the highest punch output in the division. And that's speaking more to who he is as a fighter because he knows himself. He knows he's an accumulation puncher. And if anybody who watches him, once you get past the bravado that you may or may not like and the fatness which you may or may not like, he's a quality fighter. A quality fighter. I would even venture to say that Jarrell Miller, with the way he's progressing and coming into his own, he's knocking at the door being maybe the 5th best heavyweight in the world. You would say that Joshua, Wilder, Parker, I actually know 6 because you got Luis Ortiz still. But yeah, Joshua, Wilder, Parker, Ortiz, and I'm missing somebody. But yeah, he's like the 5th. He's like the 6th best heavyweight in the world. Max Jarrell Miller. So I want to see how he develops. As far as his career and who he can fight next. If you go to any sanctioning body that he's ranked in, guys that are ranked around where he is, are guys like Kubrat Pulev, Povetkin. So if Joshua decides not to fight Povetkin, and let's say the Wilder fight happens, and I wouldn't mind seeing Miller fight a Povetkin or a Pulev. Those are quality heavyweights. That I think at this stage in his career, at this stage in his career, I think he can beat either one of those guys. I think he has enough skills and he's coming into his own enough as a fighter to where you can say, okay, he could beat one of those guys. But as far as the Duhaupas fight, he didn't stop Duhaupas, but I think he hurt him a couple times, and I wish he would have finished him, but he just needs to focus on that body more, and I think he would have been all right. But in terms of his performance, good quality performance, coming into his own as a fighter. I don't think it was enough to get to warrant a demand for a Joshua fight because if you go on any social media platform where they're posting about Miller versus Joshua, people are dismissing it straight away because they want the Wilder fight, and that's what it is. And some people even go as far as to say they would rather have the Povetkin fight because Povetkin is still in many people's eyes, and I would even say like in terms of pure punching power, a more dangerous fighter than Jarrell Miller is Anthony Joshua. So I can see how people want that fight, but nah, I don't think he did enough to create the kind of demand he'd want for the fight to guarantee it. But still doesn't mean he won't get it. I think if the Wilder fight doesn't happen, anything is possible because if they want that Wilder fight to be as huge as possible, AJ is gonna have to come to America. Wilder have to go to the UK. They're gonna have to actually do something to build each other up in the opposing countries. So we'll see what happens, man. But that's my take on Bryant Jennings and Jarrell's performance. Hopefully, both these guys just continue having success with their careers because, I do enjoy watching both of them fight. I think they're both solid heavyweights, and I would like to see either one of them get a Wilder fight because Wilder is the best heavyweight we have right now. And I like to see I would like to see how Wilder does against the other best American heavyweights. So we'll see what happens, man. But let me know what you guys think about Jarrell Miller, his performance, Bryant Jennings and his performance, and just their careers moving forward. Who are some guys that you'd like to see them fight? Obviously, with Miller, we know Joshua Wilder are guys that you guys may or may not want to see him in there with. But aside from those guys, like who else for Jarrell Miller, and the same thing for Bryant Jennings. So let me know in the comments down below. Take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every gosh darn video, you can love me or you can hate me. But I'm just here from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.